To everybody who's joining us on Zoom, Facebook Live, TOS Live, and on Brookline Public Access TV. I'm Rabbi Daniel Schaefer, joined tonight by our music educator, Josh Cohen, and it's our pleasure to be leading us in Kabbalat Shabbat services. So I'm guessing that many of us have been glued to the news all week, checking our phones for updates, watching CNN all day, doing whatever we can to get information as soon as possible. And I want to ask for one thing tonight, which is that we put all of that aside. I'm not going to talk about the election this evening, and I will not be breaking any news. What I will be talking about later, my Devar Torah, is the power of not knowing, something that we've had a little experience with this week. And so for 1 hour tonight, I want us to experience Shabbat together without external distractions. I'm inviting you to turn off your TV, to put down your smartphone, to turn off all the alerts and close all of those browser tabs. And if you find it hard to resist, just please respect the space of everybody else who's here and avoid sharing any updates with the rest of us. We'll all have time to return technology in an hour. And to help make this easier and possible for everybody, we are going to do something a little different tonight, which is to disable the chat on our Zoom service until we do the prayer for healing and say Mourner's Kaddish, and then you'll have the opportunity to unmute and to share names in the chat. But I hope that it gives us all an experience of an oasis of time, a little taste of Shabbat, and a break from the harriedness of the week. So we begin this transition into the sacred space by lighting the candles. And I'll light them here at home, and Josh will lead us in the blessing, and then we'll go into singing Shalom Aleichem on page 24.
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lecha likner Shabbat.
Turn together to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mihi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim Akadosh, Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seirchem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn to page 13 for Psalm 96, and I want us to return to a melody that we sang many times when I first came to TOS, and I think we've been singing for many, many years, but I haven't had the chance to sing in a long time. So we sing this ancient psalm with a new melody, with a new heart, and this old melody. And please join me on page 13. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo bechol ha'amim niflotav. Ki gadol Adonai, hulal meyor, norahu, al kol Elohim, ay, ki ko Elohe ha'amim elelim, va'adonai shamayim asa, od v'hadar, לפניו עוז ותפארת במקדשו ידי We turn now to greet the Shabbat bride on page 20 with Lecha Dodi, and we'll rise together for the 9th stanza and turn towards the door, welcoming in the Shabbat bride.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Let me hear you sing after me. Lecha, Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 1. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Yishmi'anu el hamichad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Itoreri, Itoreri, Kiva orech kumi ori, Uri, Uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alaych nikla. Sing it out. Lecha, Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise. Bohi v'shalom, עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובזאת עולה, תוך אמוני סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לכאן דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
Every Friday night and Saturday morning, we say a psalm for Shabbat. Tonight, we sing from Psalm 92, which can be found on page 22. Or if you're in your prayer book and would like to read the excerpted version, it can be found on page 342.
Please sing any part you like. Magadlu, Masechaya. Meyor Hamkumach Shivodecha. Hallelujah, 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 Hallelujah.
As we hit this natural pause point in the service and we turn to Chatzi Kaddish, I want to welcome in everybody who joined us a little late. And just to let you know, we're taking a break from the news tonight together. There'll be no updates, no breaking news. Tonight's service is an oasis in time. And if you're following along on your phone or TV, I invite you to just turn that off and set that aside and have a chance to return to it a little bit later. If you were looking to our chat, that is why our chat is turned off tonight. And we will bring it back when we say the prayer for healing and Mourner's Kaddish at the end. We turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah v'yamad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uvyomechon uchayedecho beit Yisrael bagala bagala ubizman kariv v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam ulamei almaya Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei D'Kedusha B'rechu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran v'alma, V'yimeru, Amen. Turn to page 28 for the Baruch, and I invite you to rise in body or spirit. And tonight, Josh will respond on behalf of all of us. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. You may be seated. And we turn now to prayer, Ma'ariv Aravim, as we welcome in the night, which has special meaning now that it gets dark at around 5 o'clock p.m. And this song that we'll sing, which was written by Noam Katz and inspired by the Ma'ariv Aravim prayer, reminds us that just because it gets dark early doesn't mean that the light isn't going to come. We just have to wake up a little earlier to catch the full day. So I'll share the words on the screen and I invite you to join Josh as he leads us in this song.
Roll into dark, roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. One more time. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei, borei yom v'layla, golel hor mipnei choshech, golel hor mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Choose any parts you like. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei hom v'layla, golel hor mipnei choshech, golel hor mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, v'choshech mipnei, v'choshech mipnei or, v'choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
Amen. We turn to page 32 for Ahavat Olam, which is our love sandwich. We are reminded of God's love for us through the gift of Torah, God's unity, and then our ability to love God and to love others with the V'ahavta. And we will say all of these prayers in succession. So I invite you to join me on page 32, and we will continue together through the V'ahavta. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shogbeinu u'vekumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'b'mitzvotecha, le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu ve'orech yameinu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla. Ve'avatcha al tasir mimenu li'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem ומלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet. We turn to page 40 for Mi Chamocha. And Josh, do you want to share a little bit about this melody?
Yeah, I'm going to share with you a Josh Cohen original melody. I'm going to share with you my version of Mi Chamocha. So I hope you rock out and enjoy singing with me. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot oseh feleh, oseh feleh. Let's do that one more time. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot oseh feleh, oseh feleh. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha bukei al yam lifnei Moshe, ze'elianu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Back to Mi Chamocha, here we go. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha nedar b'kodesh, Torah tehilot oseh feleh, oseh feleh, oseh feleh, oseh feleh. Page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. U'shmor tzeteinu u'voeinu lechaim u'shalom mi'ata ve'har olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
We turn now to the Amidah, which can be found on page 46. And Josh will lead us in the first three blessings of the Amidah, and we'll have some chants for private prayer and reflection. And we'll join together for Oseh Shalom, a prayer for peace at the end. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we turn to page 46 for the Amidah.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agite ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. El Hagadol Hagibor Anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekunei Hakol, Bezocher Chaste Avot V'Imahot, Mevi Geola Libnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Mizrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh kol atah Rav le'oshia, Mashiv ha'ruach u'morid ha'gashem, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'ofech olim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha, Bal givurot, Umido melach, Melech memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'nemanat lechayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadashim b'chol yom yihalelucha selach, Baruch atah Adonai, Ahel hakadosh. Say Shalom bimroma, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, Ve'imru, Ve'imru, Amen. Page 62. Oh, say Shalom bimroma, yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Yalalay, sing it out, y'all. Yalalay, lay, lay, lay. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen.
May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all of Israel, and for all who inhabit the earth. And let us say, Amen. I learned an interesting fact this week. Actually, it was stunning to me. I don't know if everybody will be stunned by it, but the Misha Berach melody that we sing every week at every Shabbat service, that's basically become canon in the Reformed tradition, I have always attributed to Debbie Friedman. And she is one of the co-authors, but I learned that there was another co-author, and I just wanted to share her name as well, since we never mentioned it, and that's Rabbi Deborah O'Donnell Settle. And I am sure that there is a wonderful story, maybe a sad story, I don't know, about how she has been lost a little bit to history, or her role has been lost a little bit to history, and I'm going to do some investigating to find out more. But it's a beautiful melody. It's beloved around the world. And I know it brings us a sense of peace and wholeness when we sing it and we think of our loved ones. And so we turn now to our Misha Berach prayer on page 253. And Josh is hopefully going to enable the chat. If you'd like to add the names of a loved one into the chat. And I'm going to read a list of names that we're praying for on behalf of our community. And if you'd like to unmute yourself afterwards to share the names of any loved ones, I'll invite you to do so. As a community tonight, we pray for Chaya Etta Bat Pinchas for Rivka, Judy Mabel, for Peter Feldman, Fishel Ben Yisrael, for Hedy Feldman, Sarah Bat Miriam, for Sarah Esterquest, Jane Esterquest, for Rivka Shoshana Bat Meyer Yehudit, for Kate Bingham and Joseph Demoa, for Valerie Rose, Nobert Berman, and Cassandra Warshawski, and for Constance Warshawski, Annalie Cohen, Edith Boyden, and Zita Samuels. We also add the names of Liesl Allen Marsha, Raphael Bat Julia, Jane Reed, Lois Nathan, Dino Ion Sion, Wendy Norton, Bat Abraham Rosamond, Hannah Arendt, Bat Mordechai Vasara, and Nancy Rose. If anyone else would like to unmute themselves and share the names, please do so. We also think of Lois Rubin and ask for her healing as we turn together to page 253 for Misha Berach.
May the source of strength, who blessed ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives blessing, and let us say Amen. Habracha le'avoteinu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and
Shlema. I want to speak tonight about the challenge of not knowing, about having to wait 3 days to find out an answer, and living in that space of uncertainty. I'm of course referring to the Akedah, Abraham's binding of his son Isaac, which we read in this week's Torah portion, Vayera. This is a short but complex narrative that has many layers and interpretations. For me, it is the epitome of Ben Bagbag's statement in Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers: turn it over and again, turn it over, for all is therein. Each time I return to the Akedah and turn it over, I find new meaning and possibilities, new ways of understanding the text and what is happening for God, Abraham, and Isaac. Tonight, I want to focus on Abraham's quote-unquote test. When Genesis 22 begins, we are told, Vayehi achar hadivarim ha'ele v'ha'elohim nisa et Avraham. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test. God begins with one word. He speaks Abraham's name, Avraham. And Abraham responds with one word, Hineni, here I am. The end of this test concludes when an angel of God speaks Abraham's name twice, Avraham, Avraham. And Abraham again responds, Hineni, here I am. In between, we are left with a sparse narrative filled with concrete actions, little dialogue, and no insight into Abraham's thought process. God says to Abraham, Kachna et bincha et yechidcha, asher ahavta et Yitzhak. Take your son, your favored one Isaac, whom you love. V'lech lecha el or eretz hamoria v'ha'alehu sham le'olah al achar haharim asher omar alecha. And go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of those heights that I will point out to you. The next morning, Abraham, Isaac, and 2 servants and a donkey travel 3 days to Mount Moriah. We don't know what Abraham is thinking or in what way that this is actually a test for him. Is it a test to see if he'll actually take a knife and sacrifice his son? Is it a test to see if he'll argue with God and refuse a divine command? This year, I understand Abraham's test to be living with uncertainty. His task is to trust God and to trust himself without knowing what is ultimately being asked of him and what he'll have to do. The only words recorded from this journey are Isaac's question, here are the firestone and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? And Abraham's answer, God will see to the sheep for his burnt offering, my son. This vague answer leaves too much room for interpretation, but fundamentally it is an acknowledgement of uncertainty. Abraham faces an impossible choice, refuse a command from God or kill his beloved son. We don't know what would have happened if the angel hadn't intervened. We know that Abraham placed wood on the altar, bound his son, and picked up the knife to slay him. But we don't know if he would have followed through. What he did do was resist the desire to know, to ask questions of God, to argue with God, and to know if God really wanted him to follow through, or if he himself was capable of it. He lived in the unknown, he carried the weight of his situation with him, and he continued to move forward through the world, carrying both possibilities with him on his 3-day journey. Of course, not knowing doesn't have to be so stressful. When writing this Devar Torah, I remembered watching Bob Ross on PBS as a child. And I never learned to paint. I never tried to pick up the paintbrush and follow along with Bob Ross. But I remember being mesmerized watching him and the way he created a beautiful scene with a few brush strokes. And within minutes, there was something beautiful on the canvas. And then he would add a happy little tree or a big tree. And I would think, oh, Bob, you've ruined it. You've destroyed this painting. What are you doing? It looks horrible. It had been so beautiful, and now it's not. But of course, inevitably, Bob Ross knew what he was doing, and he would continue on, and he would make such a beautiful painting. He was somebody who lived in the unknown, who was willing to begin painting with just the day in mind, with the year in mind, and without a clear vision of where it would go. He was able to live with the uncertainty and enjoy the process, even if as a child, I wasn't able to enjoy it as much with him. What I hope for us as we continue to live through uncertainty in so many areas of life is that we learn to be okay with the unknown. We learn to be okay with uncertainty. There is only so much control that we have over life and what is happening around us. And we can do what we can to influence that for the better. But at some point, we have to learn to step back and to realize that not everything is in our control. Next year, I will have a different take on Abraham and his journey. But for me, what stands out this year is that he was faced with a grave task, and he was able to wake up and to move forward without judgment, without knowing, and inevitably to do what God asked without having to do anything that violated his morals. My hope for us this Shabbat is that we find the answers that we're looking for, and that we're able to sit with the unknown when we can't find those answers. Shabbat Shalom. We turn now to the conclusion of our service and to page 282 as Josh leads us in Aleinu. I invite you to rise in body or spirit.
Aleinu l'shampeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שרונותי שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקראו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת זו בגויים מרומים, ואלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Thank you, Josh. We are going to open up the chat again and allow people to share names of loved ones as we turn to Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. If you're remembering a friend or family member in a period of Shiva or Shloshim, or it's their yahrzeit and you'd like to share their name, in a moment I'll invite you to unmute and you can feel free to type their names in the chat. And as a community, I just want to mention Cantor Sheila Klein, who passed away this week. She was one of the first female cantors in this country, an incredible figure, and I had the pleasure to get to know her the last few years. And she contributed so much musically to our community and to Jewish communities throughout the world, and it's a tremendous loss. And so we remember her tonight. If anybody else would like to unmute themselves and share their names of people they're saying Kaddish for, we can do so now.
Alan Stark.
Thanks, Jim. Nathan?
Neil Spritz.
We turn together to page 294 and we rise as a community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, V'yama divra chirute, v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon u'yomechon, u'chaye techol beit Yisrael. V'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'lamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal. Shmei dekudsha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight on Zoom and Facebook and TOS Live and Brookline Public Access TV. Special thank you to Josh for being here tonight and leading us so beautifully musically. We have a few announcements. I also want to thank Spence and Larry for leading our effort to celebrate Rabbi Lipoff's birthday, which is going to be this Sunday night. I believe registration has closed. Larry, do you want to share otherwise?
Let's just say we have officially closed, but unofficially we're still open. You just hit the link and you can join us still.
Okay, so I'm excited to be there and to celebrate Rabbi Lipoff and all of her achievements and all that she's given to our temple. And if you're still interested, please sign up and join us on Sunday night. On Tuesday night, we are doing our social action kickoff. And if you would like to have a voice in what social action looks like this year at TOS, please join us at 7 p.m. And then the following 2 Mondays, November 16th and 23rd, we have the privilege of learning from Larry Gillick and Henry Morris of Shir Chadash. And they're going to be teaching on Jewish artificial intelligence and ethics. I don't have the exact title in front of me, but check the newsletter for details about that. And that'll be on Monday evenings. Also just want to thank my dog for lying right underneath my rolling chair tonight. And just happy I did not roll over her. You did not hear any yelps. So no dogs were hurt in the making of the service this evening. We're going to turn to Kiddush, which is on page 5. And if you have some wine or grape juice at home and you'd like to join us, please rise and join me in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratza banu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahavat uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikraei kodesh Zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahavat uvratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh hashabbat. Before we conclude tonight with Adon Olam, Josh, did you pick a melody for it?
I did pick a melody.
All right.
Curious
So
if I'm excited. It's my favorite Adon Olam melody, so I'm excited.
we ask all of our bar and bat mitzvah kids what melody they would like to conclude their service with. And we throw out some different options, and nobody ever chooses Adon Olam. And so I think we need to sing it more on Friday night so that they know the melodies and they hear them. And then they'll fall in love with them, because I love it and I love singing it. And there are so many, you can put any melody to it, right?
It's the best.
Almost,
yes,
almost any melody to it. So it is a great prayer and a great song. And before we conclude tonight, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has taken this space to not check your phone, to not look at the news, to have an oasis in time. I hope if it was meaningful to you and you enjoyed having that you carve out more time and more space in the days ahead, because I think it's so crucial for our health and our sanity that the only time some of us have not looking at our website or our phone is when we go to sleep. And we need to make more space for that in our lives. So I hope if you took that time tonight, it was something that was meaningful for you. We're going to turn to page 321 for Adon Olam, and Josh will lead us in our concluding song.
Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, V'chefso Kol, Zay Melech Shemo Nikra. Acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora vehu haya vehu hoveh vehu yeh betifara. We're gonna start out slow and really build. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ed Nasa V'chafso Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei kichlot hakol Levado yimloch nora V'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yeh betifara. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ed Nasa V'chafso Kol Azay Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei kichlot hakol Levado yimloch nora V'hu haya v'hu Betifara, Behu haya Behu Betifara. But you know what? Some melodies only have one Adon Olam, so let me do. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa V'chefso Kol. Yes, unmute. Let's have a good time. Vehu Eli, V'chayin Go Ali, V'torched Li, V'eitzara Adon Olam, Vehu Nisi, Umanos Li, Menat Kosi, Ve'yo V'kra Adon Olam. All right, here we go. I'm going to go, then you're going to go. Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, V'chefso Kol. All together. Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Be'ado, Afki Ruchi, Ve'en Ishan Ve'achira Adon Olam, Ve'im Ruchi, Keviati, Adon Ali V'lo V'ira Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Li'ed Nasa, V'chefso Kol. Big ending. Azay Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We can turn off our live stream